President Biden is expected to meet with Democratic lawmakers and governors tomorrow.
Part of a pushback against growing pressure to step aside in the 2024 race. WDN's Shannon Halligan has the latest on that. Shannon.
Yeah, the president commented on his poor debate performance from last Thursday. During a campaign event in Virginia tonight, he said he almost fell asleep on stage and admitted he did not have a good debate. President Biden said he shouldn't have been traveling around the world ahead of it, but there's growing concerns that the debate was more than just a bad night.
After a dismal performance in last week's debate with Republican Donald Trump, President Biden plans to meet with Democratic leaders to try and ease skepticism about the 2024 election. North Central College political science professor Stephen Caliendo said there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment.
Should they rally around the president, as many have chosen to do and as the president seems to want folks to do? Or, as we're starting to see in the last 24 hours, are some prominent Democrats, some elected officials going to come out and suggest there might be an alternative?
Among those who have gone public with their concerns, Congressman Mike Quigley.
President Biden has been one of the most successful presidents in my lifetime. But obviously, the debate night was more than just a very bad night, and that does have implications for all the elections that take place in November.
Democrats are worried about more than just winning the presidential election, but also about the implications this could have on other races.
So the goal that they have to keep their eyes on is how to win the White House. The Democrats want to win the White House, but they also want to win the House and the Senate. And I think there's some concern that if voters stay home because they're not excited about President Biden, that could hurt lower down ballot races as well.
But Quigley said ultimately it's up to the president whether he should step aside.
This has to be President Biden's decision and his decision alone.
Representative Lloyd Doggett of Texas became the first Democratic member of Congress to publicly call for Biden to step down. But White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the president has no intention of doing that and that the debate failings were simply evidence of a bad night when he had a cold.
He understands that he's not a young man, obviously. He said this. He knows how to do the job. And he knows how to do the job, not because he says it, because his record proves it.
President Biden has invited Democratic governors to meet with him virtually and in person tomorrow. His campaign insists that he can put the bad debate performance behind him without hurting his long-term chances come November.
All right. Thank you, Shannon.